honored and happy to be here talking about this collaborative book that I put together. And honestly, the story goes that I had to close down my physical therapy practice, the hands-on practice that I had run for since 2008 in one day with the announcement of COVID in Maryland. And that was a bit of a panic. I had been transitioning to this current business called Brave Healer Productions for about 4 years, but I don't know if you would have asked me if I was ready for a full-on shutdown of that first business or not. It didn't feel like I was ready. And so I woke up March 20th with the idea of the collaborative project. I just thought, okay, now's the time to do something like this. I know a lot of people in the healthcare field. And so I typed in a little note in my Facebook group that I run for some ladies who have taken a course with me. And I said, ladies, the world needs to know how to heal at home right now. Who wants to write a chapter? And in 24 hours, I had 48 hours, I had all 24 yeses. And 5 weeks later, that first book was born. You guys, in the book world, if you know anything about it, that is a small miracle. So I've had something much bigger behind me in the energy standpoint from the get-go. And what was kind of funny about that process was that I just thought, okay, what an incredible gift this is. You guys are going to meet some of the authors today that contributed to this beautiful book. But I thought that was it. I wasn't really thinking longer, bigger, longer term. And I started to get emails. And one of my friends, Lilia,
no, hold on, I'm getting her back.
I got you. The funny thing that happened is I thought this was going to be it. And I started getting emails from a few different people. And one of them was my friend Lilia. And she's like, well, when are you going to do the next one? And I thought, well, aren't you just going to let me bask for a minute in this first one? But basically I said yes. And July 7th, the volume 2 was born. And so right now we are on a mission to probably cover every chakra color on the front covers. I think I have at least 4 or 5 more of these to go. Why so many? Because with 7 billion people on the planet, you need to help people understand that there are probably just as many ways to heal. And that's why I gathered these 24 expert healers. And what I want to help people with is having that hope and empowering you to understand how to use these things, these tools, this wisdom from these master healers to be on a healing journey in a much more powerful way for yourself. You know, if people normally would come lay on my table and they would say, well, fix me. And honestly, that's really cool and I could help to do that. But the thing that I love more would be to teach that person how to fix themselves. Nothing's really broken anyway, right? So it's really about guiding people to their own intuition and their own power. And these books are just brilliant. I'm so honored to be leading a project like this. And can't wait to introduce you to Lisa and Jacqueline and Jerice, who are all chapter authors today. What I thought I would do to kind of open that part of the presentation up is just read you the short dedication for the book. And this, I'm reading out of volume 2 right now. To the men and women who stepped up to help me heal the world, thank you. The authors of these books are true healers. They understand the journey. They understand that empowering their clients to heal themselves is the biggest gift they give. They walk the path with awareness, authenticity, courage, and an indomitable spirit. I'm incredibly honored to be here among them, guiding this book project. I've pinched myself every day since it began. And this time, when that boring voice said, "Who am I to do this?" I had a different answer than in the past. And you heard it earlier. Laura DeFranco is my name, and brave healing is my game. And I am here to change the world with my words. This book is dedicated to every soul who helped me stand up and say that out loud with fire in my voice. I'm now helping others find their fire and share their powerful words and voices with the world. Thank you guys. This ripple has been truly real. So what I'd love is if, I'm gonna pick on Lisa Kay first. I'd love it if she would introduce herself and tell you a little bit about the chapter she wrote. She is chapter 1 in our volume 1, and the chapter is about consciousness. So take it away, Miss Lisa Kay.
Thank you, Laura. So yeah, every time I hear you say that, Laura, can you hear me okay? Every time I hear you give that introduction, you know, how it started for you on March 20th and what it took for us to come together and how we came together and how we, I don't like to say pulled off the project, but how we accomplished what we have in the time that we have. The more I hear it, the more I cry, and it's out of pride. So thank you, because I really am truly honored. Being in this project has given me the opportunity, I'm just to be witnessed. And for those of you who have not read the book yet, the format is for every author, we write a piece of our story and then we provide a tool. And so being heard, sharing my story is really being witnessed is such an honor and a privilege. And I thank you all, everyone who has read the book. So I am a quantum healer, and I am also in Maryland on the East Coast. And I'm a friend of Laura's and a student of Laura's. And as a quantum healer, I work across all timelines, lifetimes, and dimensions. And there is a technique that we do as healers called soul retrieval. And the technique involves, the way it was explained to me when I learned it was, the example that I basically used in the book is if you were to drop a glass and the shattered pieces. So when I work as a healer, what I do is I bring those pieces, every time you compromise yourself, allow yourself to be manipulated, every time you give away a piece of yourself for whatever reason, you give a piece of yourself away. And as a healer, what we do is we use the energy to retrieve those pieces of your soul. And in the book, I use the analogy of the glass. And it's truly healing, because even if you don't believe in reincarnation, or it doesn't matter how spiritual you are, if you just focus on this lifetime, since you were a child, if you can think back to all of the people in your lives who have influenced you and impacted you in any way, it could be good, bad, or other, but in ways that in ways that have changed your life, and you're forced to cope in situations, you're forced to alter your behaviors, find coping mechanisms, strategize things, and with everything is a risk, everything is a learning process. And in order to take a risk, that means you need to alter yourself. So there are times, whether they're taken from us or if we give them away, and sometimes we bring them back, but if we're giving them away and bringing them back ourselves, or if we've had them taken away and we need to bring them back for healing, there's still that give and take of energy. And so I did my best to try and explain how the importance of healing, of bringing those pieces of yourself back, what that contributes and what that really means for your true authenticity, essence, and freedom of self. So was there a question?
Lisa, thank you so much for describing it that way. Actually, that was the first time I had heard you talk about your chapter like this, and how beautiful you've really done an amazing job explaining something that's very difficult to explain. So I appreciate your words today. If anyone has questions as the authors chat about, what they're writing about and what they do, please, you can type it in the chat and I can relay, or just unmute and ask away. So thank you.
Thank you.
So how did it feel to share the personal part of your story for maybe one of the first times out loud for the world to hear?
So as good girls, we don't like to, blame. It was really hard for me at first. It took a lot of courage for me to. There's one point in the chapter where I refer to pieces that I gave away when my father would try to convince me and others that I wasn't worth anything. And saying that for the first time out loud and allowing others to actually read that, that was probably, it was very courageous. I needed a lot of bravery to put it out there, but when I did, it kind of felt like a relief, and I was able to release that fear of it being public knowledge. And I honestly can say that since it's been put out there, it has given me new perception, and I feel like it healed my relationship with my father because it allowed me to see him human. I don't know if that, I know that I did, but it helped me change my perception because it took that piece of fear away, I think is what I'm trying to say. It took one piece of the icky out of the way, and more of the good was able to come in. And I see how it is able to help others and how others can relate and, want to explore further and how they can pay attention more and ask for help.
So you had a question, is quantum healing related to regression therapy?
The way I define quantum healing is, like I said, I work across timelines, lifetimes, and dimensions. I've personally never even received regression therapy as a client or as a, and I've never done it. I've never learned that technique or modality. So I'm actually not very familiar with it. So I don't know the answer to that. It may be, but it may be a part of it, but I don't know. Thank you.
I have a question or comment. I mean, this sounds very, incredible and therapeutic in its own right. I know that typically most people everybody have moments when they were challenged or threatened, or your self-esteem was trying to be manipulated in a way that it was subjective to other people. And my question is, though, we are completely emergent and free people. And yet, how do you overcome that the psychological barriers to what you're facing and your true self? Because at some point, we're adults, and we should probably be at the point where you're entering into your true self, meaning it's liberated, you're free, you're untainted, and you really feel the freedom of your personality, and you're now exploring what you have the capacity and the power to do. So I'd love to hear your responses on those things, please.
So first, off the top of my head, listening to you, a couple of different thoughts, and so I heard maturity, and then I heard development. Just
Right.
Because you're an adult, age is only a number. It doesn't mean that you have developed or matured to a degree that you can you really have to want to overcome something, or you really have to want to heal something. Just because you're a number in age doesn't mean that it should just magically happen. It takes deep soul work and drive and passion to want to heal those pieces of yourself. And I'm sure you've heard it from many, many places. I know this is me saying it is not going to be the first time you've heard it, but usually people have to really go through something tragic. You really have to kind of find your rock bottom, like seriously bottom, to begin to rise. And until you've gone through something, you're not going to understand it, because you're not going to need a fresh perspective. You're not going to need a new perspective. For me personally, it had a lot to do with responsibility. I was hurting all the time and I didn't like my life. And so my question for everyone, I was going to professional and expert after another, and they kept telling me, you're fine. The only thing that's wrong with you is your perspective. Take responsibility for it. And I just wanted to blame everyone else for everything all the time. But it took a couple of years, but once I really heard them and I began to see where it was my responsibility, that takes maturity and development. That's not an age related.
Well, but it could be you know, you're in a place where you know that you haven't completely, you know, explored who you are. I mean, and I understand your perspective about a tragedy or trauma that way. That's probably very true. But you know, you reach a point in who you are, and you then look at who you are intended to be. The universe, God, has intended you to be in this place. And so now, how do you begin to? I mean, there's a lot of, as you put it, emotional and conscious and maturity work that you'll have to explore about who you are versus who you should be, and that kind of thing. And you know, I heard somebody say that, you know, it's like a chalkboard. If you don't write on your own chalkboard, somebody else will, and they'll write things that they shouldn't write, or nor should, you know, they be there, but they are there, and people notice that all the time. If you don't have anything on your board, oh, some people, the janitor will come and write on your board. I mean, you know, people you don't even know will come and write on your board. But that's why you should fill your board up. No one can, should, and you know, will be allowed to write on my board but me. And because I know who I am, I know where I'm going, and I know what that means that way. So I mean, I mean, I guess it's somewhat ambitious, you know, but you know, we only have so many years in our lives. So at that point, what are you striving to achieve, and what's in your way, and how will you get there? You know, it's a question. You know, psychologically, spiritually, and metaphorically.
Well, I feel like it has maybe something more to do with alignment. If someone's writing
Uh-huh.
on your chalkboard and it's in alignment with your belief system, then that's called support. But if it's
Uh-huh.
not in alignment with your belief system and there's conflict, that's when you begin to explore and question and begin the detective work. And so,
Uh-huh.
um, yeah, it's a choice. So,
Mm.
you know, I'm very big on archetypal work.
Uh-huh.
I've studied archetypal work a lot, especially as an eating psychology coach.
Uh-huh.
Who are you when you eat? That's an archetypal question.
Uh-huh.
And it's very,
That's interesting.
very hard for people to even begin to understand what I mean with that question. But yeah, there are ways that you can find um, it's about personal exploration, your personal drive. You know, how fast do you want to drive? How far do you want to drive? If you're
Okay. Okay.
content, you're content.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
not, then you're not.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Okay, we have to move on.
Yeah,
Okay.
you
And
guys.
thank you. Yes, thank you
wanted
so much.
I wanted
Yes.
to just make a quick comment that
That was good though.
healing is complicated. And
Yes.
what I've realized is that when you get to play in the sandbox with experts in mind, body, and soul kinds of healing, you start to get into conversations like this that go that next level. Oh my God, that turns us on, us authors here today. And any one of us could be speaking for 3-4 days about this particular one topic that Elton brought up today. So I really love to give a chance to Jacqueline and Jerice so that you can hear a little bit about their brilliant chapters, you guys. Oh my goodness, we need a place to carry on the conversations, Claire.
Absolutely,
Very good.
absolutely.
Very good. Very good.
We'll be here till midnight. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay.
So,
Good.
yeah, so I'm going to bring Jacqueline on next, and let's see if we can pop her over. Cool. Do you guys all see her big on the screen now? I'll see if Claire can make that happen.
Yeah.
Jacqueline, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your chapter.
And yes, Lisa, we can totally all geek out on healing. So I love working with clearing ancestral karma energy because, like Lisa, it's all about energy that we're carrying with us. And I help mostly women who are living with any kind of pain, how to get to the root cause of that so they can live their life filled with power, pleasure, and passion, and being who they are. So I work a lot with the ancestral energy because I've discovered that most of us are carrying the wounds, the unresolved issues that our ancestors didn't resolve inside of us as energy. We take on that energy of the family, and it can keep us stuck. It can keep us in pain, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and getting to the root cause of that when we send that energy back. And when you're working with energy, it is kind of really hard to write it down and explain it because you have to use your imagination. You have to go outside the norm and step outside of your comfort zone to experience it and then really trust what's happening. And then the more work you do, the more you'll start feeling it and take it on and notice the shifts in your life. So I do believe that most people are really, really afraid to step into their power because that's scary, and we've never been taught to step into our power and to be our true selves. Because of the traumas and the situations that we've experienced, people have taken our power away. So some people really will create drama to not step into that power, and our saboteurs and all those archetypes will show up because it's too scary to own who we are. And it's a journey to step into owning who you are. And until we do that, most people are living with all kinds of pain. So once we clear that, once we release that, then we're able to be who we are and feel more comfortable in our own skin, saying yes, saying no, just speaking up and saying the things that we want to say the way we want to say it. So.
Thanks, Jacqueline. I know that when I dabbled with energy in terms of healing in the very beginning, very simple things like Reiki, and y'all probably heard about Reiki and that kind of energy. I knew just enough to be dangerous. So when I started to hear about things like ancestral energy clearing, I'm like, oh, I don't even know what that is, but I think I'm interested in it, right? I was thinking about generations in either direction and how my healing could affect, you know, or so anyway, I thought maybe if you guys have questions about this topic, this is another huge topic. You know, type them in the chat, but maybe you could comment on that for just a moment while they're typing.
Yeah, and I was even just on vacation and asked, you know, healing professionals and practitioners, we always listen to what our clients say. And I was just on vacation with a bunch of family members, and they're all like, oh yeah, you've got knee issues from that side of the family, and you've got knee issues from that side of the family. But nobody knows that we can clear that energy. We don't have to keep it. And then by repeating that, we're repeating with law of attraction, we're repeating the fact and putting it in place that we will always have knee issues, and anybody who comes after us will continue to have knee issues or heart issues. Yeah, so it's just a different way to look at the whole mind, body, energy component and to true healing. So
definitely think about how many times you guys have come up against your own limiting belief that because the medical problem is in your family, you're probably going to get it, or there's a chance, you know, it's going to come down to you. I know that that's been one of mine. And so again, being able to have these kinds of conversations and understand what's possible in terms of your own healing, it's pretty game changing. So Ramona says, so genetic transmission is not only the physical transmission, but the emotional and mental issues associated with that medical condition.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. So and it's so interesting the way it all plays out. So my mother grew up, she was born in Sardinia, Italy during World War II with German soldiers walking around her neighborhood. Of course, there must have been so much fear with my grandmother and everybody. They didn't talk about these things. So I grew up with a lot of fear, but I just thought everybody had fear. And until I got married and started talking to my husband, he's like, no, I don't have fear. I'm not afraid of things. I was like, oh, maybe it's not just mine. So then when I was taking her to the doctors over the last 5 years, she's in her 70s. And I had no idea that she couldn't see out of her right eye. We always knew that she couldn't hear out of her right ear, but she also couldn't see out of her right eye. And driving her to the doctors one time, she'll always go drive and she'll be like, they can't do anything. They can't do anything. Well, guess what? They can't do anything. It's so in her. But as I was driving her, I was like, oh my God, she was basically handicapped. And nobody knew that. So to spend 75 years of your life pretty much blind in one eye with nobody knowing and kind of laughing and making fun of her. And she didn't share that. And how hard she had to work just to be normal. And I was like, where's that impacting me in my life and my business? How hard I have to be, how hard I have to work in my business just to be average, just to get by. So it's interesting how it all plays out.
Thank you, Jacqueline. I'm gonna give Jerice a few minutes now to chat about her chapter. And Jerice, I'll just have you introduce yourself and tell everyone about what your chapter was on.
Thank you. So my name is Jerice Pappas, and I'm a transformational life coach, and my specialty is with the Enneagram. And so my chapter was on self-awareness and the Enneagram. And the Enneagram is, as people who might know about it, is extremely complex. So I chose one particular slice for this chapter, and it has to do with how we have core needs that drive and shape our personality types to meet what is happening in the world. Well, I'm sure this is going to be recorded and is being recorded and shared for maybe years to come. So we're in the time of this coronavirus pandemic. And I'm sure you're probably all noticing how very different people react and respond very differently to crisis. And what's governing how we respond is our core need. We'll have a core need that drives us. And we get these needs met through our instincts, right? So these are all aspects of the Enneagram. So in my chapter, I specifically talked about the core need of type 6 because I happen to be someone whose core Enneagram type is 6. And let me tell you a little bit about how this is inside of us. So we're all born with a core type, and it's like almost like it's like a blueprint that is translucent at first. And then life starts to happen. And as life happens, events happen that begin to imprint us and illuminate, awaken almost predetermined responses from our type to respond or react a different way to thrive, to survive our circumstances and get our needs met. But this pattern is built in. So when we study the Enneagram and the dynamic way that it moves inside of us, we're then able to have choice about how we respond in different situations. So I talked about type 6 in the chapter, and I'll share the type 6 core need is to be certain, sure, or secure. So this need has to do with how we keep ourselves safe and that sense of security or certainty in us. And finding things to be certain about that we can create this feeling of security and alleviate anxiety by keeping doubt at bay. So the way that type 6 in us does this and keeps doubt away, because for a 6, doubt creates confusion, it can have us spin, it can make us feel skeptical, untrusting. This kind of doubt can create a little bit more havoc than be of service to us. So when the 6 in us loses faith or becomes skeptical and causes it causes us to scramble and have anxiety. And what the 6 will do is, rather than look inside, we tend to defer to a system or an authority or somebody else. People, or maybe this, you relate to this or others, that you start taking an opinion poll. Should I do this? Should I do that? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Meanwhile, going inside and accessing our inner guidance, the part of us that knows what to do and calls on faith, which is actually the type 6 in us. When we are healthy and centered and relaxed and aligned in ourselves, we have incredibly naturally astute intuition, and we know the thing to do. And the superpower, so to speak, that allows us to meet challenges like this, like what is going on with the pandemic, is the virtue of courage. And there are 9 different archetypes in the Enneagram, but right now I'm just focusing on 6. And the 6 virtue of courage is the part that allows you to be brave. It allows you, it gives you access to taking that deep breath and meeting the challenge with presence of mind, presence of heart, and presence of body, and all of that strength that you have to do whatever needs to be done. And it might be uncomfortable, but you know it's the right thing to do. So the 6 is an incredible archetype to upload in ourselves, regardless of where you might start as a core type in the Enneagram right now, because the 6 allows us to reach out to our friends, that we know that there's a plethora of resources available to us, and it allows us to be connected with each other. And we're certainly getting very creative with that, with Zoom and all the ways we're doing that right now, and to act on our own best behalf and for the greater good. So I'll leave a little bit of an opening for any questions. That's a little bit of an introduction there. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Jerice. I was just curious if anyone here had heard of the Enneagram. How many of you have actually heard of that system? And then please, if you have a question, just unmute and ask. I know you guys have probably dabbled with different kinds of personality typing systems, but I know that I was new to the Enneagram before I really met Jerice and had a better understanding about it. Hey Jerice, if you were to tell everyone what the biggest, most powerful benefit of working the system has been for you, what would that be?
One of the most powerful things about the Enneagram system is I've been in the work of personal development and transformation since my early 20s. And there isn't any system that I have seen that is so specific about how to understand what motivates us, and to be able to understand others as well, and to create and to basically make peace and heal all the parts that have been doing their job in service of trying to keep us healthy and well, but may actually have been taking us away from the path we want to be on. So it is replete with opportunity for self-awareness and integration and healing and understanding others. And all 9 archetypes live inside of ourselves. So the beauty thing about this isn't about putting anybody in a box, not at all. It's about understanding how this thing that we're born with works, this archetype, this personality system inside of us. And then as we grow and develop and become more self-aware, we can pull on the strengths of all of the different archetypes that are inside of us. The serenity of type 1, the humility of type 2, the sense of authenticity with type 3, mystery, beauty, equanimity of type 4, direct knowing, and even a divine omniscience with type 5, faith of type 6, the virtue of sobriety, which is not about being sober from alcohol, but being able to allow distractions to quell and be focused on what is most important to you. And then innocence, embodying our power, and yet moving through life with the open heart of an innocent child, and yet the wisdom of being an adult. And then for 9, engagement, which is engaging ourselves in body, mind, heart at once, including ourselves. Some of us that are healer types always want to put, others before us, the needs of others, being of service to everybody else. And a lot of times we forget to include ourselves in the picture. So engagement means, yes, all with the 9, peace and harmony and unity and oneness is one of the beautiful essential qualities, but we must include ourselves in that oneness.
I have a question. I mean, I'm sure you have a book. I'd love to hear about it. My question is this: I'd like for you to speak briefly, if you could, because we are running out of time. The essence of the summonings to challenge fear. I mean, this is something everybody faces, and the summonings necessary. How that works to challenge fearfulness.
Yeah. So the virtues of the Enneagram are the aspects. Those are states or qualities of presence of our heart that help us to meet fear. And when we allow ourselves, when we drop into that feminine consciously, drop into the feminine allowing, when we allow that part of ourselves to embody these different qualities, this is where the Enneagram is like, you can pull from a menu. What is going to support me right now? Is it courage? Okay, I'm going to call forth courage. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to add from point 6. I'm going to trust my inner guidance. And as I center myself, what happens naturally is fear becomes more quiet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So each type is going to go about that a different way.
So in a way, just to clear, if you're doing the right thing, and you summon the capacity based on the right thing, then you face whatever you're afraid of because you're on the right road and you're consciously made the decision to do what's necessary to be done, and fear goes away.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Very good.
Yes, would
Well,
be the short answer.
Well, yeah, we'll move
Yep.
to the it's complicated answer again.
It's a
Thank you.
complicated
And
answer.
yes, we can speak for days
Sorry.
about this.
No
Yes.
problem.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate your dialogue. It's great. It's outstanding. I mean, I'm just looking at things that people are afraid of, and quite frankly, I was thinking about our lost Congressman Lewis, who challenged himself, and I'm sure he was afraid. But even during the '60s, he said, "This is what must be done," and I've decided that I won't be afraid, and I will forge myself to continue onward. And so, I mean, I think about that when I face things that way too.
Well, I will say one thing to that. What you're speaking to, the energies of that is the realm of type 1. And the type 1 in us is the ultimate visionary that is able to know the right thing to do in the world, is aware of goodness, and is aware of the way to go about restoring goodness in the world. And they have a way of the one that has a high awareness in the social instinct. They're going to pride themselves on being the model of the way of being that restores what has been lost.
Very good. Thank you so much, Sharice. That was awesome. I appreciate that.
Thank you,
So,
Jerice.
okay.
I wanted to tell you all, chapter 8 is Jerice Pappas, and it's called Self-Awareness, Reduce Stress with the Enneagram. Miss Jacqueline Kane wrote chapter 24 in this same book, Energy Healing, Clearing Ancestral Energy for Pain-Free Living. And Miss Lisa Karasek wrote chapter 1, Consciousness, the Key to Healing. And we actually happen to have another author here with us today. Raise your hand, Shelley Astroff, who wrote chapter 6, yes, simple meditation, quiet the mind and heal the body. So imagine having 25 experts like the ones you just heard in one book teaching you a tool of theirs, right? And that's what this is, you guys. So thank you for being here and listening to all of our stories about this book. And just, you know, you can tell we're passionate about what we do. Claire, back to you, my dear.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I think this was just awesome. I know that my husband was asking questions because I get fearful of everything. So, so on my journey of overcoming fears, I think one of the things that came to mind is really being conscious. I think consciousness, inner self, and I think this book has all those solutions of self-healing techniques. So I want to open up briefly to my group. If anyone would like to introduce themselves, I know we have Donna Foray, who's a colonel with the U.S. Air Force, and
Claire,
yes,
Claire,
Elton.
if I can just often one thing, because I know Shelley is calling us from India, and I'd love to hear like a 30-second opening description, and then we'll move. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay. Shelley, just a one-liner, just so we hear from you, and you've taken the time to stay up with us on a 11:30 p.m. call from India. Just, you know, just say something to us to share with us your perspective so we understand. Is that okay?
Absolutely. I had the fabulous opportunity to participate in this book, and I wrote chapter 6, Simple Meditation, and I feel like I had the most amazing education with all these other authors who are absolutely expert in their fields. And I found that every single modality that's represented in this book and the next, and probably the ones to come, they are a recipe for keeping yourself happy, healthy, and living an amazing life. So that's
Very
it.
good. Thank you so much. I just appreciate hearing from you. Okay, Claire, please
Yeah,
continue.
especially because she's in the Himalayas, which is the
Right.
highest peak in the world.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and she's zooming. So I think this is very powerful day. Yeah. I just want to bring in something new that we've just started. Each of the speakers, thank you for your time, because you are empowering business and vets, and we will be giving you a special certificate of appreciation because during COVID you have inspired businesses, and we are recording this and we'll be sharing it and broadcasting it to so many more people that would benefit. And giving your time and your expertise from your book, I think, is incredible and to what you're doing during COVID. So thank you for that, and thank you so much for your time. And I'd like to go back. I think, Laura, you were going to tell them how to get the book. They can get it from Amazon. And
thank you. Yeah, of course they're
yes.
on Amazon. And I also just put a little note in the chat for anyone who wants them with a little extra magical juju signature from me. I'll send you either one or both of the copies for $20 each, and that's actually saving you a few bucks off of Amazon. So let me know. My email is in the chat, bwarriorlove@gmail.com, and of course you can find both of them on Amazon as well. Thank you, Claire.
Right. Yeah. All right. And so very briefly to our group, thank you for coming and being such a great audience. Do you want to introduce your business? Let's go first. Donna, are you ready? Donna? No.
Sure.
Okay, going once.
Can everybody
Yes,
hear me okay?
there we go.
My internet's
Yes.
always very weak.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Yeah. I live out in the middle of nowhere, so.
And
it's
tell us
always
about your
iffy as to whether or
Pentagon
not people can
experience
hear.
as well. Yes.
Oh boy. Well, I did it yesterday for a other networking group and got pretty emotional, but I'll just give you all the 30-second version, so not the 15-minute. So if I say September 11th, 2001, an image is going to come into your mind. It may be an image you've seen on the television. It may be something you read. It may be someone you talked to. So when you talk to me, you're talking to someone that lived through that day firsthand. I was actually assigned to the Pentagon on the day of the attack. And obviously I made it out just fine. But a lot of good friends and colleagues that were on that side of the building didn't make it home that day. So that's a scar on me that I carry around to this day. And you can see my voice is breaking a little bit. Even to this day, it brings back a lot, a tremendous amount of different feelings, confusion, and the confusion of the moment and all the chaos that's going on inside of the building, the courage exhibited by so many people to help their fellow man while people are coming out of the building and they're injured or they're overcome with smoke or just a variety of things we're all trying to do. We're not even medical people. We don't know what we're doing. We're just trying to help people. And then the ongoing courage by the American people who refused to be broken by that horrible attack when almost 3,000 Americans lost their lives in one day. So, and then the courage from the day forth that I was proud to be a part of. And I want you to know, I went into the building the next day. It was still on fire, but I went into the building and did my duty. And I continued to do that for months on end without a break. And I think the first break I took for a couple of hours was I went home and cooked a Thanksgiving dinner for my family, had a very quick snack and went back to work. And I did the same thing on Christmas and all the other holidays to follow for about a year. We were at a very high tempo of work. And we also worked for Mr. Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense, who was probably one of the most driven men I've ever met. He had a pretty high work ethic, expected a lot out of people, but you know, he was the right person at that time for that difficult situation we're going through. And I want to share one more quick thing and then I'll shut up. So the day after the attack, buses and subways and everything was really messed up in terms of transportation. So, but I had to get to work. So I drove, I had lived in Fredericksburg, so I had to drive all the way to the Pentagon, which if you know the DC area, that's quite a distance. But as I'm driving to work, some great souls, brave patriots, draped big American flags over every overpass on I-95 as you drove into the city. And when I saw that, it just was so uplifting. It hurt us. You're going to hear us, and we're going to get back with a vengeance, and we're going to be better for this, and we're going to be bold, and we're going to do the right thing. And it just gave me this overwhelming spirit of courage and hope and determination just to see those flags everywhere I looked. And that's an image I'll never forget. So anyway, thank you all. Appreciate it.
Oh, we love you, Donna. We really, really do. Laura, can you give us some spiritual guidance on this? Donna's coping with this. She probably sees this vision every night, probably. Yeah. So we're here for you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Yeah.
In the healing world, when somebody is brave enough to share their heart with you, your biggest job is to just hold a healing space by grounding and centering yourself in what you're feeling while the person speaks their truth. And so I know I speak for my healer friends here that that is something that we get better and better at, but is never easy. And so Donna, thank you for being so courageous and sharing that story with us. And I don't know, there's probably nobody here that doesn't feel it right in the middle of their heart right now, right? Because you can feel that in your body. So we're just here to listen and to hold that space for you. And that's really what the best kinds of healers have learned to do. So we appreciate you. There's a give and take in that healing journey, always between two people, no matter who the two people are. Mm-hmm. So we appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'd like to say this, though, here. I mean, I don't know what people are facing regarding this COVID-19 virus and what kind of challenges they are upended by, and how they're coping and really, producing and delivering for. I mean, there are people who need you. And even though we're challenged and you may be fearful and, and not knowing what to do, just continue. Face the fear. I mean, you can't be so overwhelmed by the fear that it short circuits your day to day. But you can continue to do all the good you can while you can, in spite of what we have to face. I think it will be better people for it, and we can encourage other people. And Donna, to you, just keep plunging, just keep plugging, and the victory's there for us. That's where
Yep.
our victory is, and we will move into a truer self. That's what I have to say about that. I think that's what it's about.
Yep. And we're giving you a big hug, a virtual
I
hug.
agree.
We love you.
Right,
Yep.
right, right.
Stay strong
you.
because we need Donna.
I could
Donna's a
use
big part of
Claire
our
hug
group.
right
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
We give you a big hug. Yeah.
Right,
There you go.
right.
Thank you for sharing. I mean, sharing is so like personal, as Laura said.
A
So
virtual group hug, virtual group.
yes, yes, yes.
Awesome,
So I want
awesome.
to bring Jerry
Thank
Baker.
you.
And yes, Jerry is a vet from the U.S. Navy, and he has managed and been in a leadership position for many, many years in the medical field. He is a scientist, and now he has his own business, Fit for Life. So Jerry, we'd like you to come and introduce us. Tell us a little bit about the Navy time that you had and something about COVID. Yep. Jerry?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm Jerry Baker. Yeah, Donna, thanks so much. It brings back memories as well. I retired in 1998, but interestingly, we were in Riga, Latvia on September 11th. So that was an interesting experience to be away from your home and then to see your country attacked like that and not even being sure how or when we were going to be able to get back. But thank you for all that you did there. I know some other people were at the Pentagon, and it was very difficult, but also very encouraging to see people working together like that. So, yeah, I spent 27 years in
Thank
the
you,
Navy.
Jerry. God bless you.
Yes.
Yeah, I spent 27 years in the Navy, primarily in clinical science, managing clinical laboratories. Also had the opportunity later in my career to manage the Navy Fleet Hospital Program, which is a program in which we had 12 hospitals stored in warehouses and in tunnels, particularly in Norway, around the world, which we brought out. We brought out 3 of them for Desert Storm 1, 500-bed hospitals that were transportable and used for conflicts, made available for conflicts like Desert Storm. So that, yeah, my whole background is in healthcare. After retiring, I worked for the Defense Health Agency here in Arlington, Falls Church area and near DC. And then when I retired, I started a company that focuses on wellness, because one thing I learned in the healthcare industry is that they do real well at diagnosing and treating diseases, but they don't really do real well at preventing diseases. So our whole focus now is on preventing diseases. We're distributors for Shackley Corporation. Dr. Shackley was a leader in the wellness movement. He created the first multivitamin in 1915. And his view, similar to, in some ways, to some of the things that have been expressed here, is that if you just give your body, give your cells the nutrients and so on that they need, they will enable your body to heal itself. And so that's the whole focus and the whole basis on which Shackley is founded, as well as living by the golden rule and also taking care of the environment. They are a leader in the environmental movement as well. They were the first company in the world to be certified as being climate neutral or offset their carbon emissions. But everything they do is based on science. It's all natural products, and like the other healers here, I don't know if I would call myself a healer, but I love to get the testimonials from people. Just real quick, recently, the daughter of a client of mine started on a program that we have. She is a diabetic. She found after just a week on this program, she had lost 9 pounds. Her insulin level or her glucose levels had decreased significantly, such that she was able to decrease the amount of insulin that she's taking. And she continues to improve on a day-by-day basis. So that's what we love to do. It's my wife and I have this business. I just love to bring better health to people and greater wellness through natural nutrition. But thanks for
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Jerry. And Jerry does all this kayaking and physical activities, and it's just amazing. Thank you, Jerry. I want to bring Linda Thompson, who is one of my authors, and she's written a book on jealousy, and we're putting together a women's conference on August the 24th, because a lot of women are dealing with anger, revenge, all kinds of things. So Linda, tell us about your books and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm Linda Thompson, and I'm an author speaker, and most of my topics, my main message is on positivity, being positive, not giving up, and being whole from the inside out. One of the books is Jealousy or Envy, Is There a Killer in You? And the second book is Speak Positively and Expect the Victory, Words of Wisdom. Both of them deals with how words can create even good, or the bad. So my website is www.lindathompson.org. And ladies, I just want to say I did enjoy it. All the information today was very informative. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much. And Tina, are you there? Tina is a caregiver, and Tina has her hands full. I think we lost Tina. All right. Okay, Ramona, do you want to say something? And then I'll bring Laura back, and then I'll bring Elton to close. We lost Tina, I think. Okay.
Well,
Tina, are you there?
Yes, I just want to say that I'm in awe of so many healing resources that we have going for us. And I think we are all richer for that. We don't have to rely on one dimension. We have so many dimensions of healing and a range of.
Right.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Tina, are you there? No, we've lost Tina. Okay, Tina is dealing with a lot. She's a caregiver. All right. So who do we have next? Did I miss anyone? I don't think so. Okay. Sylvia, do you want to say anything? Okay. Yes?
I just want to say good afternoon, everybody.
Okay, Esther, I see Esther, are you on? I don't see Esther. Okay. I just want to make sure I didn't miss. Oh, I didn't miss you. Go ahead, Esther. I don't see you in the video. Okay.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. Okay. I guess the main thing.
She's going in and out. Yeah.
She has to select the video.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to bring, yes. Are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I did want, I will let everybody else go ahead because it was very informative, and I wanted to say a little something when Laura was speaking, but it's so powerful what she said today. But I want you to understand where I come from. And it is so powerful that when the Lord had me to write this book, I said, God, what is the anointing? And everybody wants to know. But it's the power of God. If we ever get in the presence of God and receive his help for us to go through everything we have to go through, all of the challenges, that come upon us, we have what it takes. And I heard so much today that it's very powerful. It really is. And we just keep, I said, okay, God, what are you telling us? He's saying, look to him. Just look to him. His son's already done it. And I said, God, I thank you. It's not hard. It is very, very easy when we think of what he has for us to do. And I thank God for that. Now we each are to be an Esther spirit with the courage to go through. Now, and also, guess what? There's a spiritual Mordecai, encourager for each one of us somewhere. And I thank you because the positive aspect, just like Linda says, you know, the positivity, it is powerful. And we just have to just trust in the Lord to show us. He'll show us so many things in life. And I appreciate that. I heard it in every one of you today because we're in it all together. And I thank God for that. For this now, the church age now. That was the Old Testament then in the book of Esther. But the church age now, this awesome oneness that we get from it. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I love
That's
it. I love
beautiful.
it.
Thank you. And
Esther's
Esther's
about
written a book
family.
about Esther. Thank
Yeah,
you,
Esther
Esther.
is about
Amen.
family.
Amen. Amen.
Yes,
Thank you.
she's about
Thank
family.
you. Thank you. Laura, I'm going to bring you back. So, Laura, can you wrap up, and then I'll bring Elton to close.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for letting us share with you today. And there's one idea that I'll leave you with today. You know, on a really bad day, I move to curiosity as a very quick energy shifter. The questions. And here's one of my favorite questions that I'll share with you that maybe you could use on those days where you're just, you know, not having such a great day. And that is, what if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? And these books that we wrote together were born of that question. We're here to share those somethings with you. So thanks again for being here, everybody.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Okay. So thank you so much again, Laura, Lisa, Jacqueline, Gariz, and Shelley. Thank you very much. We always love having you, Laura, and we enjoy this so much. Thank you. Elton, do you want to close us out?
Sure. First, let me say with a resounding thank you. Thank you for being here today. We really appreciate you for having and adding value to our presentation to our audience. And we thank you for your contributions, each and every one of you. It's added value. And I hope that as we come to understand the value and capacity for healing, and that how God has given us the capacity and the power to heal. And we have to overcome our personal challenges with the perspective of allowed or valued, or that you're valued in a great way. And we hope that you feel that we value you and your contributions, and we value where we are in this space, this time. This little moment, this time, this space is precious. And so we hope to continue in a very powerful way. And so we encourage you to keep pledging forward, no matter what challenges you face. And we will be there to restore and help you in every way we can. And even in the development and area of developing your small business to the point where it will be all that you planned for it to be. Again, me and Claire, we're working hard and diligently. If there's anything we can do, don't hesitate to give us a call and look at us as a reference for that. So without further ado, we are going to bigger, greater places, and we want you to come along. Thank you so much. Have a really wonderful day. God's blessings on you and your household and family, and continue to grow in every way that is magnificent for you to achieve the benefits that way. So thank you so much. And Phyllis, for getting on the call. Thank you. All the way from India. Get a good night's rest. Missing those mangoes though, but God praises. Thank you so much. And that's all. All praises. All right.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good week.
Bye. You too. And my daughter's on the highway coming home.
Everybody be blessed.
All right.
We'll say a prayer for her. Yes.
Yes, she's on the way home.
Yes. Yay. Yay.
Oh, goodness. Well, we will pray for her.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes, we will.
Was
I'll
she
tell
with
her.
you, Esther?
Thanks
Esther,
a
was she
lot.
with you?
Huh?
Okay.
She's on her way. Margaret is on her way home.
Bye, everybody.
Yay!
Good.
We can't wait. And she's
Oh,
gonna join
Margaret's on
us.
the way
I
home.
know.
Yes, yes.
Yay for
Oh my God.
Margaret.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Great.
Thank you.
I
Thank
really
you
want
so
to meet
much.
Margaret. You know, we military
Yeah.
ladies, we got to stay together. I know
Yes.
Margaret was in the military a long time.
Yes, Donna. My